What if joy, belonging, and economic impact can all come from a single flower? What if changing the world didn't start with a grant, but with a paintbrush? Today's guest, Patty Mitchell, isn't just imagining a better world, she's building it through collaborative art that transforms lives, redefines inclusion, and rewires what's possible. You're about to hear how Passionworks Studio went from a radical experiment to a global model of empathy driven social enterprise. This isn't just about art, it's about the power of believing in all people and what can happen when they are given a shared purpose. Welcome to Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan. I'm Dan Peters, psychologist and leadership coach. This show is all about bringing hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom through meaningful conversations that inspire us to be better versions of ourselves and have a positive impact on humanity. This is your space to pause, reflect, and reconnect with who you are, what you care about, and who you want to be. We have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. Today's show is Building More Inclusive Communities Through Collaborative Art with Patty Mitchell. Patty is an artist and social entrepreneur specializing in collaborations between artists with and without developmental differences. She is executive director and founder of Passionworks Studio and creative director with Creative Abundance Consulting. Patty received a Distinguished Alumna Award from Ohio University and is presently a fellow with the Barbara Gerald's Institute of Storytelling and Social Impact at Ohio University and is the co-author of Upcycling Sheltered Workshops. Patty, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. It's a delight to be here.
So, did you ever think that you would be a social entrepreneur, a leader, and developing a model that is scaling far across and to places all over?
Definitely hoped so. Have been absolutely focused and interested in spaces that support and care for people, and imagined also spaces where employment options were available, and just that magic question of what if something something a little different, what could happen, and so and we're living in the what if right now. Yeah.
Yes. Going back in your life, were you always a what if, like a dreamer, an imaginer? Like when do you recall this being part of you?
Yeah, I was definitely an excellent daydreamer. Fantastic. It's how I got
Mm-hmm.
through school.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've always wondered about rules and why they're in place, and just, gently questioning things sometimes, and, have grown into adulthood and really embraced a positive deviant attitude. So positive
Ooh, a
deviance.
positive deviance. I like that. Okay, tell us, because we need a lot of that. We because we need positive, and we do need a lot of questioning and curiosity and strength these days.
Yes, it's an incredible term, and if you Google it, you'll find all kinds of information
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
And so as I was coming up, I had every, a kid's dream, horseback riding, and I was active and running around and dancing and playing music and doing all these things, and I had a brother who was institutionalized. And so it was living within both worlds, in my, you know, visualizing where he was and not fully understanding why,
Mm-hmm.
and then having a full life, and then growing from a wee little peanut, with that dual situation. So that's where my what ifs and wonderings really came from.
Would you say it became a calling?
An obsession,
Mm,
and and sort of like a pulling.
a pulling.
Yeah.
Hmm. There are these times that we can't put words or ration or reasoning and then it becomes a matter of trust, right? That we are being pulled. I really like that, like pulled in a direction, and to go with it, right? To follow it and see where it takes you.
Mhm. Absolutely. You
And
know,
look look where it's taken you. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, sorry, you were gonna say something.
No, it is, and it's like when you kind of open up to it and trust it and just follow that,
Mhm.
it's a great way to have an adventure.
So you come, um, you're an artist, you're a creative, right? Your path was as a creative, which led you, to art school and major in photography.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so from photography, how did it keep rolling?
Well, I thought I was a great workaround because, I have a little touch no, I don't have paperwork to prove it, but, you know, it just I have I'm dyslexic and
Mhm. Yeah.
reading was tough and regurgitating information was tough for me, but, I'm visually pretty sound, and
Mhm.
I thought, "Ooh, I'll just be a photographer," and I started moving towards photography and doing that in high school, worked for newspapers and things like that, and then came to Ohio University and studied photography. And here in Athens, Ohio, when I came in 1983, um, there was a mental health center in town, this giant space, and it was an active psychiatric hospital, and I was able to volunteer there. And so I I had this parallel situation where I was getting to be within the hospital and volunteering my freshman year, first year, and then my second year I was invited to live on ward. And so
Mm.
in exchange for room and board, I lived at the mental health center, and I was studying art and documenting, telling stories, and the 2 just ran parallel, and they fed each
Mhm.
other.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
mean, I'm my happiest and most fluid when I'm creating and making and doing things I like, and so I
Mhm.
wanted to make that available to other people.
Calling out the strengths of the dyslexic neurodivergence profile, one of them being visual spatial reasoning.
Mm,
Clearly, you have that. And another one is actually there's a high number percentage of entrepreneurs, who are dyslexic, and the strength that tends to go with that is a visioning and a seeing how things can come together and what can be when a lot of times, um, other brains that are really strong on data, which we'll get to because you guys have amazing data, but brains that focus on data and spreadsheets, which are very important, um, sometimes get focused on that and maybe have trouble seeing beyond.
when you I think we all have an experience when we're young that we think everybody thinks like we do, or
Totally.
there's
Totally.
right? And then and my most favorite thing to do is to talk about ideas and brainstorm. Like, I love
Mhm.
it. It becomes
Yeah.
like I can see it, like, in there. And then I realized after I got into the workforce that a lot of people don't do that. And they get
Mhm.
kind of frustrated when you talk about what isn't there, and then I learned to make drawings and create physical examples and then talk about it.
Mhm.
So, I was
Mhm.
absolutely willing to accommodate for the typicals.
We need all of it. Like, we need, like, this is the whole thing. This is inclusion. Like, we do need everyone's brains. Like,
Right.
everyone serves a purpose, as we are going to talk about, as you well know. I just want to also call out, Athens, Ohio is beautiful.
Mm,
A beautiful space. I did my internship in Dayton, Ohio, and my wife and I, we weren't married at the time, but we used that year to explore all over a road trip and camping. And when we drove by and into Athens, it was this, wait, how did this get here? Like, it's beautiful. It's
mm.
it's it's different. And it seems like, and especially now, this was several years ago, it's this beautiful microcosm all of its own. And I heard you say, like, you knew right when you got there you're never leaving.
Yeah, that was it. That was
Yeah.
literally stepping out of the car. I don't there was some feeling about this place,
Hmm.
and it is beautiful, and it's away from so much. Like,
Hmm.
we're left to our own devices down here, so we make our own fun.
Hmm. Okay, so the passion works, the passion flower,
Mhm.
which is started out as, well, ultimately being a local favorite, and then a regional favorite, and now it keeps expanding and expanding. So tell us the origins of the passion flower.
So the origins were that I wanted to make art up at the mental health center, but deinstitutionalization happened. And so that I couldn't have it there because
So about what year? About what year are we
that
talking about?
was, well, deinstitutionalization was 92,
Hmm.
93 in there. And
Hmm.
um, and so in 1998, I was working for the Ohio Arts Council, and I was introduced to a sheltered workshop, which is a supported work environment for people with developmental differences and often physical challenges. And it's a factory style work environment. And here in Athens County, people were putting pens together. And at first blush, I was like, "Oh, how interesting! Like that's an interesting thing for employment." But if you have cerebral palsy and you're putting a cap on a pen, that's very fine motor. That's tough. That's tough. And I thought, "Oh, well, that's interesting." But it was perfect for me because there were interesting people in a space showing up every day. And what if we set up an art studio to see what could happen? I could do it relatively inexpensively, and just have an experiment. So the Ohio
Hmm.
Arts Council supported this idea, and we made 100 paper mache birds, and it was like, okay, this is it. Like people were coming down to the studio, getting through their pens as fast as they could, and it was the Wild West. And the longer I was there, I realized that it wasn't a worker issue; it was a design issue, that the people there wanted to work. They were proud of what they did, but the job just wasn't a good match for a lot of the bodies and the people and the spirits that were there. And I wanted to stay. And so if I thought if I can satisfy the needs of my host, I might be able to stay longer without paying rent and all the things.
Oh, our motivations are multiple, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
we could have this place and we would
yeah.
serve them.
Hmm.
And so the first product we came up with, through experimentation and the art process and discovery, was the passion flower. Carolyn Williams drew flowers over and over again, and she would just be so excited with each bloom. And we took those petal shapes and made patterns. And we had an artist in residence, Kate Kern, and she showed us how to make paper sculpture, and that was brilliant. And then we translated what we learned from paper to aluminum printing plates. So at the newspaper, any newspaper, it's a you have a plate and it's aluminum, and we got it, cleaned them, painted them, did all kinds of texturing, and then cut out Carolyn's patterns, took the technology, which was basically a dart, and then screwed the petals to a block of wood. But the idea was anybody could do whatever they wanted on the metal sheet. So if you love Smokey Robinson, you can write about Smokey Robinson, which Alexis did, or Count
Mm.
to a Million, which Patty did, and you could do anything. And then we wanted to highlight the individuality and the spirit and the beauty of people and not make them disappear in a like factory style way.
Hmm.
So we made the flowers, and to date, we've sold way over 38,000 of them and generated over $3 million. And the state of mind is such a powerful thing, because when we started with this idea of creating a product and employment and then generating funding that would come back into the art room and center, I was told, to kind of have a heads up from the professionals, these people are never going to make anything anybody would want to buy.
Mm.
And I remember hearing that and thinking, wait, it had to get in there. And I realized in time that a trained person was seen to see deficit and to
Right.
see what wasn't working, right?
Totally.
And focus there. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm just interested in what you want to do
Hmm.
and what you love. And so when I saw this room of people, I saw incredibly curious, talented, enthusiastic folks. I didn't see it, that's what I that's the interesting part. And
Yes.
so, we've created employment, and we are the official flower of Athens, Ohio,
The official flower, the passion flower.
and we send them all over the
Y-
country and world. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And I want to talk about some of the numbers. You already said one of them, over $3 million. And this is, well, before we get into the model and your artists, I'm curious, you saw possibility, you saw strength, you saw, um, skill, ability, aesthetics. How much of that was the impact of your brother? Like, seeing, because you're right. Like the medical community is, it's often well intentioned, and it's
Mhm.
often deficit model pathology based, and people are trying to be helpful, but in that helpfulness is limiting what we think someone can do, what we think someone can be. We like take away from them in efforts to be helpful. But you saw this so differently.
It is an interesting thing what we assume about another projects, and then opportunity. If I think there's not much there, then that level of opportunity will follow, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
so, if I think, so through collaboration, between the two of us, then I want to spiral up. I don't want to
Yeah.
spiral down. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And it's it is a freeing mindset.
Mm.
It's so fun.
Yes. Yes. And you just said a concept that was on a recent, just a new podcast on, social psychology and wise interventions, ordinary magic, and it was all about helping people spiral up instead
Oh,
of spiral
interesting.
down, and the of how one intervention can literally make the difference in the trajectory of someone's life. A spiral up versus a spiral down.
100%. I was doing a consulting because, like, whatever we learn at PassionWorks, we share. That's the
Hmm.
rule. That's the rule. And we do it, and we're looking to do it the best we can with as much love and support. And I was at one place, and there was a woman who, I was told, she's just, cognitively, she's not with us. So she's going to be at this side of the building in the morning and this side of the building at night, or in the afternoon. But, and I looked at her in her eye, and she looked at me, and I was like, "Hey, you're in there, Sam." And this simplicity, so got it, this self-inflating whoopee cushion, okay? And I put
Hmm.
it in front of her, and I did it, and she laughed. Well, to me, that's a sense of humor, that's intelligence, that's communication. And then she looked at my business partner, Susan, and just laughed harder. And then she had severe cerebral palsy, but she moved her arm up and she hit, and I had to push her hand down to make it work. That was all connect. So she was
Hmm.
in there. And
Hmm.
and now she has a wheelchair with her, she can use her head, but it told the staff and others around her, it gave evidence of
Hmm.
of her. And so the artwork is all about, definitely expressing yourself and, connecting and whatnot. But I think it's really about experience and being
Hmm.
experience this world differently and being
Hmm.
seen in ways that open doors that would be closed.
Yes. And being seen differently. When I read about your artists on the site, and it's just so wonderful, like seeing these vibrant individuals, and just the change that some of them describe, and
Mm.
also in the video, of how, just the studio changed their sense of self, their identity, and their sense of belonging.
Connection, purpose, belonging. We all
Mm.
need it. We don't
Hmm.
thrive without it. And
Hmm.
this place is designed to welcome people in, and none of the staff, none of us, and it's this is not a to poo-poo therapy or anything, not at all. This
Right.
is just our little spot.
Hmm.
It's all artists created and maintained, right?
Yes.
So I am not interested in changing anybody at all. I can
Hmm.
change the environment, and then learn about each other and create the most possibility for joy, satisfaction, and being seen. That's what we get to
Yeah.
do as the artists. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the outcome is that or that process and the outcome is it's therapeutic, right? So
Yes.
it's a therapeutic environment without it being a clinical therapeutic intervention.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. That's good. We should write that down.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we have this recorded, so someone take note. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be in the recording. But that is, and that's also just to go back to the social psychology on wise interventions. It is about all the things that we can do in the regular world to move people along, change their lives, and help them spiral up without the only answer being fixing therapy, and you're talking to someone who's spent an adult life doing psychotherapy. I see the value in all. And what I'm saying is joining you in what you're doing is we need more and more environments, normative environments that don't just happen. They have to be created intentionally with values and with culture. And that is a daily immersive experience of purpose, belonging, and connection.
Right. That's it. And my friend Lynn Harder, who's the co-director at the Storytelling Institute at Ohio University, she simplified it to create a structure to surrender the process. I was like, that's it.
Mm.
That's it.
Create a structure to surrender the process.
Yeah.
And then what have you in your decades now? What what would you describe as simply as you can, like what is that process that you observe?
It's individual. And so, we're nobody wants to be told what to do, but everybody wants to know enough so that they feel like they're okay and secure, right? So in our studio, we create a banquet table-like shape so that people can talk to each other and you can see each other and you have social networking going on. And then at your table, you could be working on a painting of a dragon in the desert doing playing volleyball, like that's your thing, right? And because you're funny, and then somebody right next to you could be doing something about space or plants or this or that. You're working together in concert, but you're exploring your own interest. And so to surrender the process is to create the enthusiasm and the invitation for people to explore their own art process because they may not know. And like, we don't know what we're capable of without practice and without investigation and without curiosity. And so we want to feed those things and see what people come up with.
How much training goes into your your staff and the people you trust to bring in to working with your artists that have various developmental and other disabilities? Because I would imagine, I mean, there's some people who come into this naturally because of their own experiences and just the way they are. And there's other people that are curious. And there's other people that you can change, right? They have one belief about, oh, this is what these people are like, and then you see them transform.
Yeah, yes, I've seen all of those things, and because this is a different approach, I can't go. There isn't yet like majors in artist in residency, community working, collaboration, working with people with developmental differences. So I can't go to a particular university and say, okay, you know, we have these positions. So that's where I am right now with how do we train people to understand this approach, and then the spaces where they can be working all over the country and world to facilitate
Mm-hmm.
these spaces. But
Mm-hmm.
for our own studio, people are often asking, "How do I work at Passionworks?" I'm always saying, "Just come in, just come in and
Mm-hmm.
check it out. See if and that's really the interview. Like, you show up, and like, how do you respond in that place?" And we often end up hiring our interns
Mm.
because we're both figuring it out and they're seeing if it's their thing, because it is a physical job. You're
Mm-hmm.
running around, you're doing things, and but none of well we just Lisa is a retired ICU nurse, and So that's so nice to have her, but she was so attracted to this model, and she's just finding it so
Mhm.
nourishing for her. But, most of the people that we hire have had some do their own art practice or studied the fine arts in school.
So there is the technical skill, right, of art and
Right.
all of the creativity in different areas of art. Um, and then there is this what's the word? Like there is this being able to hold a place of basic human respect,
Mm.
possibility, and connection. Like I mean, we've used connection, but it's not the word I'm looking for. It's this. I don't know if it's like mutual respect and collaboration. I guess that's the word I was looking for. It's
Oh,
collaboration where when we look at inclusion and we have neurodiversity, developmental disability, difference, it's it's removing the hierarchies of like less than, better than, and like everyone has something in there. Everyone has a song to sing. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone comes here for some reason and purpose. And to bring all this together, I mean, it's just I don't know. I'm finding myself being really moved, just thinking about it and reflecting on all that I learned in researching for this. Is like it's this magical place that you and your folks are trying to replicate. I think even within the field that you're in, and it's replicable in all domains. It's right, like not just art.
no, it is replicated in my world because I love art, and it's so
Hmm.
flexible and responsive,
Hmm.
and I cannot go through a day without making something, like, ugh, like, I just love it
Yes.
so much, and and it's such a way to connect with people. Like if Jimmy over here doesn't love art and he's like, I don't like art. It's like, what, you like NASCAR? Sure, let's build a NASCAR. Like
Right.
he may not see that as art. I do because we're making something, but I can get you through what you love. Like, and we'll make
Right.
something fabulous. And the next thing
Yes.
you're off and running. Yeah.
I want to talk about some numbers because this is we're talking about the like the mission and the process and the art, and you and your team have found a way to have real social and economic impact, right? Which is what everyone like. That's the good stuff to keep everything going and everyone to see like this is more than just something that makes everyone feel good, right? This is more. This is like this actually impacts communities. So everyone, social return on investment, SROI, data, like real data. There's the book. There's the book right there that Patty's holding up. This is real. I've read the summary report. And so get this, for every $1 invested, Passion Works generates approximately $10 to $12 for that $1. And the crazy big number, you already said, more than $3 million in revenue, but it's really the annual value, which is this complicated process. And the people who did this did just such an amazing job of spelling it out and putting it in a user friendly format so that even people like me can understand. So the total annual value all the way through the economy of the city is $8.2 million from people making art together. Collaborative art.
That's
$8.2 million in annual value. So say a little bit about just the trickle down, the ripple effect.
That is something that is so exciting. The Voinovich Center at Ohio University put this report together, and it is on our website, and so the the details are there, and there's also a video that explains the social return on investment.
Hmm.
So that's the increment. And Allison Rickett led this project, absolute genius. And so, what is the value of having a place where your community as a whole celebrates people of all abilities. And when you walk down if you walk down our wee little street, right, we have Court Street. We're not a big town, right? But we're very cool. But you see passion flowers all over. The art, we'll see our murals. You'll see our puppets in businesses and in restaurants. And there is this place-based art making that's very cool, right? We've been doing it for 26 years. So our town is infused with it's our brand, our aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like we're just working on a giant mural at the visitor center right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to be doing it with Habitat for Humanity. So we're kind of like what is that worth to a community? What's it worth to know that your loved one during the day is doing something that they love? They're earning a paycheck. You know, we're not a government affiliated agency. We do not have Medicaid, Medicare, even though the vast majority of our staff are people with developmental differences. And that's what people assume because, of course,
Mm-hmm.
it's typical.
Right.
We decided early on for product development that embraces the worker around the existing talents and materials that we have before us to generate our own funding, because I was learning that non-viable citizenry don't have the same rights and opportunities as people who are seen as viable. And when does a person become viable? And it's like in our culture, it's economy. And if you're participating in economy. And so I thought, okay, we'll just make some money so that we have value. I know we have value, but we can demonstrate. You want to make money? We can make money. We can do anything with intention. I just believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So our products, every time we sell a flower, or I mean, we have so many products. We have jewelry, we have this, we have that, because we are just constantly coming up with ideas. Our story is it's being carried like dandelion seeds all over the place. And people are proud in this town of that. And what is that? What's that social return on investment?
Mm-hmm.
People move
Mm-hmm.
here because of Passion Works.
Mm-hmm.
They make a decision to go to Ohio University because they can volunteer at the studio while they're in school. There's lots of ways that we're attracting and responding. We decorate for music festivals, the Paw Paw Festival, Nelsonville Music Fest. Halloween is huge in Athens, Ohio. We do a giant puppet parade. Like we're creating the visual evidence of the spirit of Athens.
Mm-hmm.
What is that value? I don't know. Allison Rickett
Yeah.
figured out
Yeah.
how to tell
Yeah,
the
she did. No, and it's all broken down. So I'm just going to say a few, just like a few high level
Mm,
um, pieces of information here, which is like it increases the value of the properties in downtown. It increases the value of the housing market surrounding. Like there are these effects of increased like fulfillment, belonging, the beautifying of the town, and it all trickles down to money recouped and not money lost with all of the things that cost money, like um, finding places for people to be, mental health treatments, like all the things that happen when we don't belong, when we are isolated, when we are marginalized,
absolutely.
right? So it is beautiful. For it's hard for our two dyslexic minds to actually articulate it right now, but it's like it's all laid out in the report, and this is another reason the dandelion seeds are spreading is because people see like beyond just the feel goodness and the beautiful products that come out of here. It actually impacts. It has a social impact and an economic impact in a town to have this sort of collaboration and enterprise. And it is a social enterprise. And what you're showing is these things work and you can do it your own way with your own town resources and your connection with Ohio University. Like there's so many people that are all in, and it's like just mutually it's collaboratively beneficial for so much of the community beyond the individuals.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, and, we opened the doors to students and community members to volunteer and come in and experience a studio, 'cause I do believe if you come in and you see it, you leave in as a different person, with a different
Mhm.
perspective of possibility, whether it's upcycling, art process, abilities opposed to, whatever it is that connects with you, you leave, you're different. And I want those students to come in their early time in their life, so when they go out and become a professional, they're open to
Mhm.
possibility.
Mhm.
And I'm always headhunting too. It's like,
Yes. Yes. People are listening. People are listening. People are gonna be moving more to your small town. I pulled out a quote from one of your artists, which is beautiful, and this is what this artist said: "Being an artist has changed my life. I call it being a heartist, and the work is heart work. Not hard work because it comes from my heart. Heart work isn't always hard work. Sometimes it's easy."
I'll tell you, that's Noah Hogan, and he's a genius, and he's absolutely, um, just a lovely, he did
Hmm.
it. He did it right there in
Yeah.
that quote.
Hmm. And as you talked about, it's engaging people in what they're interested in, and so and I think we could take a page from this in education, in business. Everyone has strengths. Everyone has interests, and how can we, uh, acknowledging that there are systems that are in place, I do think that there's much more wiggle room and leeway than many of us were raised to think in these systems about how we can use the individual's interest and talent within the larger umbrella and the purpose of the organization. Art, well, someone likes race cars and someone likes trains and someone likes flowers, and it doesn't matter because you're getting the best out of them and they're all in to still produce the end result of what you're looking for.
That's it. That you click into that, and then people create, what I see it is they create their own programming, right?
Mhm.
And so when we go in and we share this model and consult and help an organization start up like programming, whether it's in a school and they're working with kids, but typically it's working with folks with developmental differences, but we've worked with all different kinds of populations. Um, it happens like this because people are exploring their own interests. And what I tell these places, your staff's going to be happier because you're
Mhm.
not putting out fires because people are bored, right? Your serving waitress skills, definitely come into play because you're just keeping things,
Mhm.
moving. um, you keep your staff, and you attract curious minded
Mhm.
staff, and
Mhm.
the morale goes up because you're talking about ideas and what's possible, and not like, it's like you go up like this. And then the administration is happy because your attendance is up, because the individuals served want to come and see what happens, and
Mhm.
they got to finish their project. And the happy one of there, I have a few check boxes. One is when I hear staff say, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's already 2:30. The day flew." Like, all right, good. They cry, so, happy tears because they
Mhm.
see somebody doing something they never thought possible. Boop, boop. And then the
Mhm.
other is something, usually somebody asks, "Is that for sale?" And the painting is still wet. Then I'm like, okay, we've done it.
Wow. You're onto something,
We're
right?
on to
You're
something.
onto
We're going to
something.
protect you, keep this going.
Yeah. Um, Among the many, uh, members of the community that you collaborate with and it impacts is also women in recovery.
Yep.
Um, so talk about that. Like, again, talk about a normative environmental situation which has therapeutic benefits.
Yes. So after 26 years, one of the things, and always design, our thing is designing products around the worker, right? And when we have volunteers, making so that the product, somebody walking off the street can be helpful and successful in production. We can also break down the production line, so to speak, and invite people of all abilities into the process. And so, um, one of the things that we have when we get the metal for the passion flower, it has ink on it naturally, so that has to be cleaned and then a primer coat on. And so women in recovery have been doing that job, and for some it's the first job they've had. That
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's a sense of purpose, and it's like, you're cleaning it. It's poetic, and it's, in all of this, and you're getting it ready for this bigger thing. We also have a mobile manufacturing unit where we make wee little pins and magnets that are flowers, and people can do that at home. And with a little anvil, and we have a process, and boop, 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 you make these little flowers. And so, but it's flexible employment. And then we get those pieces. And then we also have cottage industry where some people are sewing at home.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
the more funding we have, the more jobs we can generate and the more work we can do. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are right now. And to share this approach, because there are a lot of people who want to do, but
Mm-hmm.
we are in Appalachia. Okay. We are
Yeah.
in Athens County. It's the trifecta of Vinton County, Meigs County, Athens is the most economically stressed in Ohio. And we have to figure out how to
Mm-hmm.
survive.
Mm-hmm.
And collaboration and using what we have where we are right now is our approach. And
Mm-hmm.
we don't have industry down here. So we just don't have philanthropy like in a lot of other places. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're just digging in. It happens as the more we get to be seen out in the world, more
Right.
comes back.
Yes.
But we're using what we have, and using our creativity
Yeah.
and beautiful
Yeah.
people.
I'm thinking about the concept of environmental press in the creativity literature, and about how, like, a lot of artists and a lot of creatives, and there's different environments, whether it's their childhood environments or there's environments when they're older, which can help bring forth creativity or also stifle creativity. And something you said just made me wonder, when you talk about like where you are and you don't have big industry, and the the survival need to figure this out. I'm also wondering if all of those elements have created the environmental press for this venture, this successful venture, because there aren't all of these other options that come in with people saying, "Oh, we'll just write you a check," or "We'll just go do this," and we'll just go, we think about happens in places and that does happen in places that have more resources. Like, is there some ingredients in that has allowed this to emerge?
I think you cannot be influenced by your environment. Absolutely. And we're a bit scrappy, and it's like, I want to live here.
Yeah.
How am I going to do it?
Yeah.
And so the outcome is not only creating employment for others, but it's for myself as well.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and I want to enjoy my life. I want to, this is a lot of work, and not to say that it isn't, but I go to bed tired and really happy, you know,
Mhm.
and curious as to what's gonna happen the next day. I feel really lucky.
Mhm.
And, it's when you when you start something and others come, and Wendy Miner is an artist in residence at the studio, and she's been with the studio 26 years. She's absolutely brilliant, absolutely just magnificent. And so much of our aesthetic and our approach and our collaboration is, we've grown up together doing this. Um, but we're just like, it will not fail. We will
Mhm.
do anything like to keep this moving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
uh, and once you have that kind of dedication, you
Yes.
attract.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
that's
and that's your vision too. You are a visionary. I hope you can receive that. Like, you are a visionary, and when someone is a visionary, it's contagious in the sense that people want to be a part of it. Like, you help them see the vision, and then you help them see the reality. And it just seems like it's something that is it's in your bones, it's in your blood, it's in your DNA. Like, you can't not do that.
yeah, I know. I know. It's like, "Hey, you guys, let's do this crazy wacky thing." And then the next thing you know, everybody's like, "Where are we meeting? Let's go." You're like, and it, I love this. Like, we had a glitter emergency at Honey for the Heart where we make our giant puppets. And I laughed I said, in 20 minutes, glitter's going to come through the front door. I put it on social media and boom, it came in. It's like you put it
Mm,
out there and it comes back, and people can support and participate in ways that they can and they want
yeah.
to. And
Right.
you just create these avenues to make it as easy as
Right.
possible.
Right.
And, and then you're
Right.
doing it.
And all of us who have worked or do work in the nonprofit sector know that it's like it's hard work, it's heartfelt work. Um, Funding is always something that has to be thought about, and there are a lot of volunteers that do go into keeping these things going. And I don't want to get lost in this conversation for our listeners. Is you are employing lots of people. Like
Yes.
these are lots of people are getting paid to do this work. This is not like a volunteer organization.
That's right. That's right. I am, so the people who are, are staff, core and staff being also core artists, people with developmental differences are paid members in the studio. And with any product that we have, it is like the passion flower, it's an hourly minimum wage that you do whatever you want on that metal. That's your job. And then we also make fine art, you get a commission when it sells, a design fee if we make a product that uses your design on it. We give monthly stipends to people so that we are free to experiment with their illustrations and drawings. Always trying to figure out how to get funding back into the pockets of our artists, our staff, and keep everything going. You know, but you have to live. You have to live,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so we wanna generate. I love making this money to put back into the studio. Like, I love
Mhm.
it so much.
Mhm.
It's so much fun, and I am so grateful to our donors who give us the cushion to experiment and explore,
Mhm.
and the grants for intentional projects. All of
Yes.
it, all of it.
Yes. I mean, and the I mean, I know there's so much more than I know, but the collaboration with the different departments at the university, right? How that is such, and it's a mutually beneficial experience. I mean, they're using their intellect and their academia and their departments to give back and to educate their students, and you are giving back to them by having this experience, and everyone's collaborating to lift up the community.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that when, you're a young person of 18, 19, 20, 21, and you have an experience where you realize you can learn from somebody with a perceived disability or difference, that's gonna change your life.
Hmm.
It's experience. It's not in, I mean, I've met many people who speak Spanish who have a developmental difference. I haven't gotten it in my head. I want to, but
Hmm.
it's experience. It's not intellectual capacity necessarily for everything. And
Hmm.
so our artists are the experts, and they are the ones whom welcome new people into the circle.
Hmm.
Professors who come in who are like, "Oh, I'm not creative, I can't paint." And one of the artists will come and get things and pat them on the back and say, "You can do it. You can do it. Don't worry." Because we want to repair
uh,
that creative thread that may have been broken at some time, and
yes.
we
Yes.
want it back for them.
Say a little bit more about the upcycling, the impact of upcycling, in the organization, and then, of course, we know how important it is for our world. But how does upcycling, how has that become such a key component to what you're doing?
It's become part of our aesthetic and how we work,
Yeah.
definitely. It came out of we didn't have any money.
Hmm.
That's what it came out of, and we looked around at what we had, and we used that. I'm not gonna go buy materials at an art store to make art. I just can't do it. I'll buy
Yeah.
paint and brushes, but everything else, findings and things like that,
Yeah.
and And it's really, I think it's a really interesting boost to the creative process. Like, what are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with 500 bottle caps and
Mhm.
this and that and this, and like collecting little chunks of wood and all of that. And then it tells you once you start to play and explore those materials. So we did it out of necessity as a solution to not having enough money to, buy our way out of something. We had to make our way out of something. And then it became like what the cool kids were doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty cool these days to do that.
So
Yeah.
it's really cool. And we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're a green business. So like if that's your thing, hey,
Right.
we've been doing it, and we're happy to share our approach, and every product has a deeper story because of it. Like we use Louisville Slugger bat nubs on wee little deluxe flowers
Mm.
because they're an output of the production of the Louisville Slugger bat thing.
Mm.
And so people hear that and they're like, "Oh, that's great." And then we have the little flower on top.
Right.
And, you know,
Yeah.
sure.
I think what I love hearing about this is, because this all, like, comes out of from you, and I think, like, your personhood, which is, like, you don't have this false pretense, and, like, you don't suffer fools, and I don't think tolerate BS all that much, and all these things you're doing because it's creative, it's survival, it's right, it's like innovative, and, there's ingenuity, not because it's cool, not because everyone's doing it, not because you're trying to get the attention of something. Like, you're doing it for all these intentional, authentic reasons. And then it just so happens that it's cool. People want to do that. It's a new trend, but it comes from a very genuine place.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is funny, almost everything we do goes against the norm.
Yeah.
And it's not because, like, we just wanna be radical, it's like we want
Positive deviance. Positive deviance.
positive deviance, man, and we were doing it before we knew what we were doing. And,
Yeah.
like, even collaboration in a fine art artistic process is not typical. You might have assistance, in a collaborative that way, but every 95 8% of what we do is collaborative. 2 to 8 to 12 people work on any one piece.
Hmm.
And it really it it broadens the experience of the viewer, and it really elevates, I think, I don't know, it expands the each individual voice together. It's been such a curious process to explore this 26 years. And
Hmm.
because often there's some knee jerk because what we do isn't typical, that like, why are you, stunting people's voices? And it's like, we're not. It's like,
Hmm.
come see the work. Like, if you make little teeny circles and that's your thing, cool. Like, do that. And Wendy can also take a photo of it and blow it up so your circles are 8 feet tall. And then we're gonna, make things around that. So amplifying visually, but also having a place for that beauty to land. And I
Hmm.
find that fascinating. I love it.
Yes.
I just love it.
Yes. What has this, what is Passionworks and your journey? What has it taught you about the possibilities for humanity, like our people, our culture?
You know, things grow where I we have such love and beauty in our space, and it is possible, and it radiates, and people are attracted to it. And like for Honey for the Heart, for example, we have over 1,800 people work on that puppet project over a course of a month to make that puppet parade possible. So I know if you build it and you invite and people are comfortable and respect it, they will come and they will
Hmm.
return and they will return. I have seen dank, dark, very sad spaces that serve people with developmental differences turn on a dime with this process. There's no reason we have to be living in gray, like the lack of stimulation. Like
Hmm.
we just don't have to do it. And
Hmm.
and the more beauty and color we bring into a space, the more we attract,
Hmm.
attract. So I see possibility and beauty and love
Mm-hmm.
being what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's it. And respect for one another and giving each other space to explore and and instilling and encouraging confidence, and sharing and enthusiastically celebrating other people's successes. And
Mm-hmm.
so we do that in the studio because we're a team sport. We're not individual
Mm-hmm.
easels. We're together doing this, and we're strong because we're together. I mean, that's a big question, and we've taken this model and shared it all over, like from Kosovo to Moscow, all over Alaska, Chile, within orphanages, domestic violence shelters, extended care facilities, and it has always worked because we are responding to the people there, what
Mm-hmm.
they love, what they wanna do, what they like. Like, I can respond, like, if you like ladybugs, heck yeah, let's make some ladybugs, man. Like, I'm gonna do that with you, and
Mm-hmm.
I can get you. I can get you to love what you love.
Right.
Who
Right.
doesn't love what they love? It's not rocket science.
Right.
It was so funny. There was a lady who came to see the studio, and she was sitting at the table observing, and she's like, "This isn't rocket science." And I'm like,
Yeah, I know. And that's sometimes the hardest part, right? People are looking for something so complex when it can be so simple.
"So
It can be so
simple."
simple. And well, that was a great download. You actually said a lot about what this has taught you and the possibilities. And um, one element of simplicity that I am distilling from this is it really is simple to focus on wherever we are, whatever classroom, whatever workforce, whatever with our kids, whatever ability versus disability. You focus on ability
Right.
and you
Uh,
tap into that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And that's for everybody in the room.
Hmm.
So if my woodworking skills are here, then that's, where we're going to go. And if we meet another person, they're here, we're going to exponentially be better, you know?
Yes.
And, and so that is, something that's really interesting to me. And so with with staff artists in residence, the better they become, like their skill set with their painting skills, let's say, and then their ability to let go and collaborate, the more they can do that and understand how to use all these different, then everything gets better and better and better. And that is ability.
Hmm.
And we
Hmm.
grow together. Yeah.
As we wind down, what is one or more, wherever you take this, piece of advice that you would give to anyone who is interested and looking to create an inclusive space? It can be an art space, but it can be any sort of inclusive space.
I would say the curiosity to respond, that the space will tell you what it needs when the people come in, and what, you know, it it is just constant curiosity and
Mhm.
responsiveness.
Mhm.
See, and you will feel it. You will feel it. That I have learned so much, and I wish I could just put it in a golden ball and just give it to whoever wanted it, right? And I'm
Mhm.
trying to do that with this videos and the book and the, PBS documentaries and all these things. But one example was working with a woman she has cerebral palsy, and I know through experimentation, working my friend Serena, we put little weight bands on, and just that bit of resistance made it so she had more control.
Mhm.
Awesome. So during a consulting and walking through, oddly, there was a potato nearby, and there was a woman, and I knew if there was she had something, had a little bit of weight, grip was great, and then we could put the paintbrush at any angle because the potato could receive it, right? She could paint with more control.
Mm.
And so every time I learn something, it feeds into something else. And
Yeah.
it and that, I tell you, it is so addictive when you are being with another person who is discovering their own ability.
Yeah.
and their own talent.
Right. Right. And so it's about being open and flexible and curious to see what comes in the space, both with people, both with the sort of like the energy, the feel. It's like using all of the senses, right? It's like you opening up to everything to determine what is needed rather than a one size fits all idea about each space.
Right. Right. And there's certain things that we all I mean, like if there is a person in the room who the lights are bothering them, then we'll turn them down. We'll bring the shit. It's like it's just constant looking for balance, and
Mm-hmm.
and then it's in people's process. If somebody's struggling, to be aware, like if is it getting into frustration or is it just the natural art process? You got to practice. You got
Yeah.
to practice, and I'm not
Right.
going to take that away from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Heck no.
Yeah.
So, in typical art education, it's replication, right? Here's our snow person, and we're going to do this with this material, and this is what it should look like. And what did you do? And that can be very painful
Yeah.
to compare yourself. And
Yes.
so ours is like, we have a bunch of stuff. We have an art emergency. We have to get the pawpaws made for the Pawpaw Festival, which is a little fruit that grows around here, and we're gonna discover together, and that's interesting. I always think of it as it's not fun to hear the answer to a joke first, right?
Mm.
You
Right.
want to, you want your brain wants to like have the fun of trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
So that we don't want to give the
Yeah.
punchline at this.
Yeah. So what I just got from you as a punctuation here is discover together. It's about discovery,
It's about
right?
discovery.
It's about discovery.
Yeah, because that's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yes, people, and you can have fun and make an impact. It's possible. It's both. It's possible. It's work, but it's all possible.
that's right.
Patty, thank you. Your enthusiasm and your vision is contagious,
Oh, thanks.
and tell everyone where they can learn more about Passion Works and how to get involved in all the ways that they can get involved, as well as some of the things that are coming up for you guys.
Oh, well, passionworks.org, our website, and you can just Google us and find us on all the social medias, and you can come visit us. You can talk to us we consult and we'll come to you. We do keynote speaking, we do trainings, and and the big training is a 2-weeker where we transform spaces into creative spaces, and typically serving people with developmental differences. Um, there's I am happy to I seriously am happy to talk to people about this approach if they want this in their community. We want to share
Hmm.
how to do this. We want it to be like you said, it's a lot of work, but we want to make it easier
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
the unfolding. And
Hmm.
this approach is an add-on to existing programs. It's like we don't have Medicaid, Medicare. We are the unicorn unusual, but it fits within
Hmm.
programming that does. It
Hmm.
is, and it doesn't take away from anything else. It just adds on.
It trans expands and transforms.
That's right. That's right.
And a plug for, you can also, on the website, everyone go to, you can buy the art. So you can see the passion
Yes.
flowers of the different sizes and all of the other stuff that they do too. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful art. And especially when you get to meet the artists and you see the space and you watch the video, you're purchasing something really meaningful. It comes with more than it actually is, and I will
Mhm.
let you all experience that for yourselves. And you're gonna have to trust me on that. But there is a whole thing behind this thing that is magic. So thank you, Patty.
Thank you. Thank you. That's our tagline right now is more than expected.
Oh, cool! More than expected.
Yeah.
Passion works more than expected. Patty just makes it sound like anything is possible. And boy, was I inspired by this conversation about her town she loves, the studio that gives her purpose and passion, and all of the people that are impacted in the town, in the studio, in the community, and now beyond with this amazing model. Here are 5 takeaways from this conversation. 1, inclusion starts with belief. Patty challenges deficit-based thinking and shows that honoring individual strengths, especially for those with developmental differences, creates space for belonging and contribution. Number 2, art is a gateway. Whether it's NASCAR or nature, art becomes a means for connection, exploration, and transformation. Everyone creates from what they love. Number 3, economic impact is real. PassionWorks has generated over $3 million in revenue and $8.2 million in annual community value, proof that collaborative creativity is both sustainable and scalable. Number 4, environment shapes possibility. The Athens, Ohio story shows how place-based, resourceful innovation can flourish without industry or traditional philanthropy. And number 5, discovery is the magic. Inclusion isn't a checklist, it's a daily practice of curiosity, responsiveness, and discovering together. That's how we spiral up. Thank you for listening to this inspiring conversation. Please share this with anyone and everyone you think will benefit and find meaning. Thank you for being a part of our amazing community, for subscribing, for your 5-star reviews. They really do make a difference. And as always, I will remind you, we have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. This has been a Peters and Rossi production. Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan is produced by Laura Rossi. Our engineer is Phil Rossi. Theme music is Uplifting Folk by Awesome Music. Artwork by Kelly Dwyer. Follow us on social media at Dr. Dan Peters. For more information, visit drdanpeters.com.